Do you have a hard time getting the PCs off on adventures? Do you need to mix things up and stop using job boards just to get them to go on a quest? Are you not sure what an adventure hook is in the first place, or why you'd want to get good at using them? Well, then you're in the right place. I'm JW the DM, and I started playing D&D around 1983, and I love DMing with a passion, and I am here to share the tips and tricks I've learned over the years. Welcome to my channel. Hit like, subscribe, and set that bell icon to all. What is an adventure hook? All right, the first thing I need to do is define what an adventure hook in role-playing games is and why you need them. A hook, in its most abstract, is information that suggests a series of actions should be taken to accomplish a goal. Hooks start things off and keep things going. They are what you use to get the players to do a quest. An old lady in the tavern asks for help to retrieve an old family heirloom. That's an adventure hook. And once they're hooked, you reel them in with the adventure. Adventure hooks can be situations or things or suggestions or clues or rumors or job boards or requests or assignments from a quest giver, etc. that the PCs and thereby the players get latched onto to want to start or continue doing a quest. Like a fishing hook, the hook needs to be well baited for the players and their PCs to want to bite it. So you'll need to make sure the promise of what the adventure might be or the rewards thereof will make one juicy worm. Well, this is often a monetary reward. It can also be titles, land, or, believe it or not, sometimes just feeling good about themselves. Usually a mix of those. After all, you need to eat and buy equipment and such, so you'll usually make money part of the reward, at least at lower levels. The emergency hook for right now, literally. Now that you know what an adventure hook is and what it does, I should ask you, do you need a hook right now, like within the hour? Some of you watching this video want to solve the problem right away without watching the whole video for all of the advanced stuff, so I'll put the emergency way of developing a hook right here, right at the front. And I think this will be good inspiration for veterans and maybe useful to them in a pinch, but if you want to skip forward to the more in-depth stuff, go forward to the timestamp I'm showing on the bottom of the screen. Step 1. Pick an NPC that's near the players or just make one up on the spot for this purpose. Step 2. Pick a PC or PCs for the NPC to approach. Try to tie in the goals and rewards of the hook, the bait, toward this PC or PCs, and ask yourself what they may respond to. Step 3. Pick something from list A, problems and purposes. Monsters in a location like giant rats in the tavern cellar, missing family heirloom, missing person, raiders, retrieve magical item or magical secret, and 6, discover something. Step 4, pick something from list B, motives. Make it something the PCs will agree to, such as treasure, a desire to help, a sense of destiny, finding the next clue, assigned by a patron like maybe a deity, get one step closer to a goal. That was 6. Yes, 6, get one step closer to a goal. Now, step 5. Pick from list C, reward. This may or may not be the same thing as the motive, but paying off the player's motives is usually a good thing. Treasure. I know, it's in motives. Treasure. Feeling good for accomplishing the mission. Feeling good for having won battles. Feeling good for acquiring things. Achieving a character or party goal. And finding clues to the next thing. Now, the reward can be any of these things in combination, including all 6 at once, but the emphasis should be on 1 to 3 of them. Then step 6, provide a location. Where do the PCs need to go to solve the problem? It can be specific, it can be vague, it can be mysterious. A dungeon, a forest, a tavern cellar, wherever it is, just remember that among the earliest actions you want the players to do is start planning to go, or just plain go, to the location of the adventure. So you'll need to have this figured out to include in the hook because the players need to know where to start investigating or dungeon delving or town protecting, etc. Before I give you an example, I've put these instructions and lists in a handy PDF that I link to in the video description. Now, the example. Pick or create the NPC. You just decided there's an old human black lady in the tavern the PCs will be in. Give her a quick name like Shayla, and say her cloak is more gray than her hair and she stooped over. Pick the PC to approach. We'll do Fangrid, the ranger dwarf. He carries a necklace with a charm on it given to him by his grandma, who got it from her grandma. Then pick what the party goes after. In this case, we're picking a family heirloom to tug on Fangrid's heartstrings. It's a 4th generation heirloom that belonged to Shayla's late wife. Maybe a famous axe that her wife's great-great-granddad used to defend the city of Rule from undead hordes. It may even be magic. Then pick a likely motive to bait the hook with. In this case, we'll take both gold and the desire to help. Shayla might even mention that one or more PCs know what it's like to be a caretaker of an heirloom. We'll add a little lore here. When the axe went missing, there were some kobold tracks found in her hovel near where the axe was displayed. Everyone knows the nearest kobolds serve Menrax the Mighty, known to plunder and collect treasure and special items. Now, you pick what the reward will be ahead of time. Now, don't worry if you change your mind mid-quest. In this case, there will indeed be some treasure and a few collectible items, individual things that might be valuable to different PCs. Also, that axe is indeed magical, and Shayla, since she and her wife were a same-sex couple and they never adopted, has no heir to pass it down to. So she's going to choose the PC she finds most worthy that can actually use the axe. She just didn't want Menrax, or worse, to have it. Then you pick the place. Well, maybe the PCs are a few levels up and can handle a young dragon. Kobolds often work for dragons, after all. So Menrax is a blue dragon. His lair, the place, will be in a cave on a mountain just over a lake a day's travel to the east. However, no one but you, the DM, knows exactly how to get there, but there might be a tracker or hunter or wayfarer or druid that has a clue and may even be in the tavern. Maybe that's a follow-up hook. Let's put it all together. You're standing next to a wood column at the Bee and Flower Tavern, drinking your ales, when a wizened old lady comes through the front door from the street, looks around hopelessly at the only moderately filled tavern that is otherwise bereft of adventurers, and then she spies you, and hope fills her old eyes. She shambles over in her hooded robe that's more gray than her very gray hair, and then, as she gets nearer Fangrid, you notice that her eyes wander down to the charm you wear around your neck, and then back up to your face. Then she says, "I'm so glad I found someone who knows what it's like to keep an heirloom. God's bless you, God's bless you. I know you will help me." And then Shayla goes on to tell the PCs through a conversation about the quest she wants to send them on and the rewards they may get from it. Shayla would be called a quest giver because she just offered up a quest to the PCs. Shayla's request is the hook, and the combination of her story and the potential rewards are the bait. Now we get to the deep stuff. Theory and advanced use. There are all types of hooks, but they all do the same thing. Someone hires the PCs, whether through an advertisement or a job board, or someone asking in person, or they find a hint or clue, perhaps during the previous quest that suggests the next quest, rumors about treasures or scary things in scary places, inciting events that may trigger action, possibly personal, or to the entire party, or to a family, or to a locale in the region, such as a village. They can be requests for help. They can be assigned by a patron of the party, perhaps a mortal person, perhaps a deity. Hooks can come in dreams or revelations or a sense of destiny. But then you've got to bait the hook. How to bait a hook. Baiting a hook is a place to let your creativity go wild, and it can be a lot of fun. On the other hand, you can wind up going down a rabbit hole and spending far more time than is really needed, or you start stressing over the details like what would really interest a player in their PC. Don't do that. Play with hooks and bait. Switch it up. It's not supposed to be stressful. There are several things to think about when concocting the bait. Character backgrounds, character goals, player expectations, and, if doing a narrative campaign, plot needs. Be careful with that last one. It's necessary, but it can inadvertently lead to railroading. And finally, the payoff. I'll get into each of these forthwith. There is one more thing to consider, and that is the method of delivery, as in, what way might be most enticing to the players to encounter the hook without causing difficulty for you to execute that method. Character backgrounds. Let's start with character backgrounds. Assuming you've worked with your players in creating their characters' backgrounds so that they mesh with the first adventure and make the players happy and a little attached to their characters, you can use some of that information to create hooks. For example, maybe your dad was a champion of some long forgotten but still active deity. Maybe the character is chosen as their next champion and is sent to first acquire the sword his dad once used and then go smite a great evil that deity is set against. Or maybe your girlfriend was ambushed by people working for a bad guy, and to make it more juicy, that bad guy was your childhood friend. Backgrounds are also great to use by thinking of a character's goals. I hope that you had your players come up with short, medium, and long-term goals for their characters, because every now and then, the purpose of a quest or the result of a quest can fulfill some step toward the character achieving one of their goals, or it could be them achieving that goal. Player expectations. Another thing to keep in mind is what the players expect. You'll never 100% know what they're wanting, but if you've asked for feedback and held a session zero and all that, and even asked outright what they want, you should be able to take a guess, especially if you know what kind of players they are. Are they expecting a heroic quest? Are they more story players than win the game optimizers? Then give them bait that appeals to their desire for that kind of game. And then give them that kind of game. That's the payoff. You want them to bite more hooks in the future, right? Then you've got to try and give them the game that you baited them with. Well, as best you can. As I'm always saying, who knows what the PCs are going to do? Plot needs. Now, if you're running a narrative adventure, the quest the PCs are currently on can lead to maybe 3 other quests. Ideally, all those quests are related to the same arch BBEG, in which case you'll probably want the bait to fulfill any plot needs, ideally those that arose during the current quest. As I warned earlier, this can tempt you to railroad the players into doing what you want them to do rather than letting them make their own choices. It's up to you to make the bait appealing enough to entice the players and PCs. Although, in a narrative campaign, there's also a social contract where they do have an obligation to pick up on at least one hook to keep the adventure and the story going. But give them choices. Don't make plot-only bait. You still need to use character background and player expectations and such to make it juicy. By the way, I find hints and clues about things going on that the PCs might want to put an end to are great for narrative bait. Method of delivery. Once you've baited the hook, you need to pick where to set the hook. Fling it way out into the water? Cast it like you're fly fishing? Maybe you're on a boat that's moving along and you're just going to let the line drag out behind you. Basically, what is your method of delivery? I've already gone over some before, but here are a few again, plus a couple others. Quest givers like Shayla. Advertisements and looking to hire things like job board postings. Dreams from deities. Cryptic inscriptions and carved pictures on dungeon walls. These are just a few. You can make almost anything a hook and put a hook just about anywhere. Which leads me to when and how many. Look, don't just have one hook about one quest with no alternatives for the PCs to pick from after a quest is finished. Putting a hook at the tavern the PCs go to when they've finished a quest is fine. Do that. But also put hooks, more than one, into the current quest wherever it might make sense to do so. To look at my dungeon wall example for method of delivery, maybe the wall depicts someone fighting a demon lord, the same demon lord that happens to be the BBEG of this entire campaign. This figure is wielding a sword with fire coming out of it. In another panel, this champion is lying down in a tomb with the sword on his chest. The tomb picture appears over mountains with a peak that looks like Beggar's Peak, 3 days east of this dungeon. Have a couple potential quests in mind that the PCs can go on next and bait and set hooks for those during and just after the quest. Don't have those quests all planned out until you know which ones the players are going to pick as they finish off this quest. It only needs to be a couple of quests. When a hook isn't working. But JW, what if the PCs aren't biting? And what if they seem unexcited by the bait? Well, there's two likely problems here. They're either using the wrong bait or the wrong potential plot for the upcoming quest, which, of course, ruins the bait. Depending on the circumstances of where you've placed the hooks and where in a quest or just after a quest the PCs are at the moment, change the bait or change the potential quest. Then set a new hook. Do this as many times as needed, but don't kill yourself about it and make a quest all about biting one of 1,000 hooks you've set. Don't set 1,000 hooks. If they keep, not biting, move on. But set maybe multiple hooks for each potential quest if you need to, such as maybe after the party leaves that dungeon where they saw that there's a sword that might be useful against the demon lord, maybe they overhear an NPC talking about the Sword of Glory hiding up near Beggar's Peak that people have searched for 100 years and never found. But this NPC knows where the path starts. So a multiple hook, another hook after the first one. If none of your hooks are working, or if the players just don't seem excited about any of them, or excited about the one that they finally accept, you may want to just tell your players a couple of quest ideas that you have, get their input on which seems fun to them or what alternatives they may suggest, and then make a new hook with new bait and role play through the scenario where the PCs take the bait. Go ahead and include them in this journey. It's a co-created story after all. Don't shoulder all of the weight if you don't have to. Here's my final word on adventure hooks. They are fundamental tools of TTRPGs. Now, it can look daunting to create hooks that look appetizing. Don't be daunted. Most players will still accept the tavern owner just walking straight up to the players and saying, "There are rats in my cellar. Would you mind getting rid of them? 300 gold pieces and a free beer for life if you do." Or you can go the job board route that Dragons of Icespire Peak did so well. Just keep it simple. They don't all have to be cryptic carvings on dungeon walls. I hope this has helped or inspired you with how to use hooks. It was a lot of information to absorb, but I promise you, applying these considerations when you need to get your adventurers smoothly into the next quest will make it easier and easier. If you'd like more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and set notifications to all. May all your games be full of glory. Till next time.